Good morning. I'm calling this special meeting to discuss the budget to order at 8 o'clock. We are missing Christine. Is that it?
Yeah.
Everyone's here except Christine Ryan. Thank you all for coming out for a special meeting. So our business today is to discuss the budget, which we have been unable to approve for several months, but I think we've got it all in order now, thanks to Joan's tireless work. So, do we have a motion for consideration of the April to July financial reports?
Well, I
Wanna do
would
this all
like,
at
we
once?
don't have those. I'd like to put that off take that off the agenda until July's meeting, if we can do that, because.
The financial reports?
Yeah, I want to put them all together each month so that they make a little better sense. I didn't have time to pull them all together.
Okay. Do I have a motion to push the April through July financial reports to our July meeting, or to our August meeting?
I will make that motion
It's July. It's
to
August.
move that to August.
August.
Yeah.
And I will second that.
Or, well, actually, July, we could do it in July. We have a DDA
July.
meeting in July.
What day is
we
today,
don't.
Joan?
Today is the 3rd.
Of what?
August.
But this is a special meeting, and we have our DDA meeting, our regular meeting, on the 17th,
Of
Of
August.
August.
on the third Wednesday. It is, yeah, August.
August.
Yes.
Time flies when
Because
you're having fun.
July is over.
Yes. Did I say
Although we
July?
could push it off for a year. Okay, we'll push this to the August meeting.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Terrific. Okay. How about a motion to consider the 21 to 22 year-end amended budget?
I think before we start, Joe Raker had some things to say.
Okay?
You wanted to read
Christine, hi.
read the memo?
Good morning, Mayor, Chair, DDA board members. My apologies, my finance director is supposed to be present, and I'm not aware of why she's not, so hopefully everything is okay. Came before you for the first time in March, came before you for the second time, basically saying, hey, there's been some reporting issues internally, and we need some time to kind of like get our act together so that we can give you a more clear financial picture of what's going on with the DDA. Developed a memo that you received. I think you received it yesterday, so my apologies and the shortness for it, the short turnaround on that. But it was something that I was working with staff, competing priorities. So I'm doing my best with.
I'm not sure I saw that memo, Joe.
It came in the packet, Mary Liz.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I
So
think Joe will probably
I'll
read it.
I'll read through the majority of it for you to posterity and for anyone here in the chamber. So, the subject of this is the DDA financial situation update and our way forward. First and foremost, the city administration of Clawson apologizes for the delays in clarifying the DDA financial status. This memo is to serve as a synopsis of how this happened, actions taken, our way forward, and a collective agreement on the information provided herein. So how do we get here? There was a reporting error in the July and August of 2021, which was not discovered and shared by the former treasurer until the end of April 2022, when the treasurer prepared the year-end property tax settlement with Oakland County. In May of 22, after the former treasurer reported an error in the property tax distributions, the monthly financial reports provided to the DDA director did not include the corrections as discussions continued with Oakland County and Oakland County Brownfield Authority until the correct final tax distributions were resolved. At the time, the former treasurer determined she had a reporting error in the tax distributions. She also indicated she was going to retire. Myself, with approval of City Council, installed Deputy City Clerk Tomlinson into the treasurer position on an interim basis. Deputy Clerk Tomlinson had not been introduced to property tax processes in her career, but was determined to get the property tax billings out with the assistance of Oakland County Treasurer and Finance Director Rao. During this period, it was determined there were not written processes or procedures provided from the former treasurer. Finance Director Rao was conducting double duty assisting the interim treasurer in preparing the tax rolls and preparing a budget, as well as the day-to-day finance director duties. The concerns went unresolved largely due to interim treasurer being unfamiliar with DDA and brownfield property taxes, as well as reporting within the property tax database. Through many discussions with the DDA, Oakland County, and Oakland County Brownfield Authority, and the interim treasurer, a resolution was finalized. Actions taken and a way forward. For months, DDA Director Joan Horton worked with the county trying to come to a final understanding of our circumstances. It wasn't until July 12th of this year when we had a conference call with the county that we started to come to a consensus of understanding. However, the continued disagreement was focused on the brownfield revenues starting in July 2021. The Oakland County Treasurer during the Oakland County Treasurer during this telephone conference call explained in more detail what had happened with the brownfield revenues as well as the actual computation. Discussions were had with Oakland County Brownfield Authority for further clarification. The tax revenue discrepancies in income shown on the revenue and expense sheet is the $35,562.92 decrease in property tax on the 6/30/22 revenue and expense sheet. This is the correction to bring revenue to where it should be to line up with the actual year-end settlement sheets. The revenue was recorded in the DDA tax revenue accounts and needed to be reversed in the month of June due to the previous reporting error. Best practices recommend not backdating adjustments whenever necessary. The only time journal entries should be backdated are at year-end or month-end when reconciling bank accounts and year-end audit entries. The 2022-23 budget that was sent to council will receive its first amendment likely in September, at which time will demonstrate the correct tax revenue of $204,935.49. The presented unaudited monthly financial statement specifically for June indicates total revenue of $195,566 and total expenditures of $190,673. Pardon me, I'm getting dry mouth here. $190,673. Fund balance beginning July 1st is $49,763. Once the audit has been complete and the year-end adjustment entries have been made, the year-end June 30, 22, the ending fund balance will be provided. The following is a reference to the charter. The board shall, referencing that the council approves the budget, and then it comes to you. So just demonstrating the sequence that the budget amendment would go to council and then would come to you. And then the final statement there is hoping to put you at ease as far as understanding of the circumstances and what you have as far as financials going forward, and also understanding that we're going to work with Joan so that this next budget amendment is exactly what it should be. So this was not
Correct?
well. Correct and desirable. So understanding what the desires of the board are, and also understanding where your revenues are coming from and that they're accurate. That's important. So when you look at the actual revenues compared to expenditures for the year end, your concerns were very valid. I mean, the delta is $5,000, so roughly 2.5% of your entire budget. So the discretion to hold off and Joan's advocacy are validated. But internally, I've been dealing with competing priorities and working with a limited staff on several major issues. And so, unfortunately, we knew that we could make these corrections into the next year, and unfortunately, this is the direction that we had to go. I don't want to think that the DDA has suffered much from it, but I apologize if you have.
Well, it did limit our ability to spend correctly because we are determined to be fiscally responsible and to balance to the penny. Now, thanks to Joan's advocacy, we know how to check all the numbers. She knows how to get all the information direct from the county. So we'll be able to prepare our budget from the source, and I think we'll have less of this haranguing next time.
I
But
totally
one
agree.
of my concerns is, this is slightly off topic, that this is a pretty simple budget.
I agree.
If the city interim treasurer is having trouble with a budget this simple, are you having troubles throughout the city with budgets?
No, ma'am, this is in particular to the brownfield and then also with.
Because I think it was more than the brownfield, wasn't it, Joan?
There was also some interpretations within as far as, I believe, transfers in or out from revenues and expenditures. And I think there was some misunderstanding as far as everyone involved here has different levels of financial understanding and capabilities, and I think that some things were being explained with a certain level of expectation that they were being understood, where things were. It wasn't always clear, and that led to some breakdowns in communication, some frustrations, and which has led to this. And so, I think to lead us onward and upward and through this, I need to establish an update with the DDA and with the finance director on a weekly basis so that we can have the actual desirable wishes of the DDA's board for this upcoming budget so that we know where everything's going, where everything is coming from, and it's easily understood.
Yeah, our frustration level is much sooner than what you allude to here, saying you came to a consensus in July. What that means when you have already known numbers prior to July, which started back in April,
Yes, sir.
May. Are we led to believe that you rode in on a silver horse
Not at all, sir.
and fixed all this for everybody?
No, sir.
I don't know if you realize who you're talking to, but this board is a very smart and intelligent board. They are business people, men and women, and we're not stupid by any means. We don't understand why it took so long for this to come to a so-called consensus months after this started. Was it the lack of attention? Why? The frustration is here, but that's not our doing. And as far as the previous treasurer, to put the onus of responsibility on that worker is embarrassing.
Well, Mr.
That
Kelly,
worker had 30 years' experience with this city.
I agree.
She was excellent at what she did. The conversations should have occurred. I suspect they haven't. When this occurred, I
Mr.
suspect they haven't. This is an embarrassment across the board. I can't believe this was done. This whole thing is terrible. It's an excuse, a made-up plan. I don't know. I don't know where it came from, but it's embarrassing. I hope it never happens again.
It is my intention to work hard to ensure it doesn't, sir.
Anybody else got anything? Okay, so considering we appear to have the correct numbers, do we have a consideration of the year-end amended budget? Someone want to make a motion, please?
Yeah, I guess it really, we don't need a motion to accept the
Okay.
numbers, but just that there is an understanding that we now do have a final year end, that these numbers that the county prepared are actual. We have complete year end for the TIF. We have the delinquent taxes that are now included, and the millage, so that our total revenue is for last year $159 roughly $159,000, where the budget had showed it as being 171. So we were smart to stay careful in our spending because the numbers
'Cause
that
we didn't
were
have the money.
presented were wrong. So
Right.
if anybody has any questions, I did send you the spreadsheets for year end from the county, which they prepared March 30th. So you've got exactly, so we know exactly where we end. And that helps because now we'll know exactly if what our surplus is, which is possibly around 50,000. So that can help us with planning going forward.
Well, do I have a vote in favor of approving the year-end amended budget? Anyone want to approve it? All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I don't know as we're approving their budget so much as
We're
just
accepting it.
acknowledging. We're accepting it,
Okay.
yes. We're accepting
So if
that
we accept-
these are the correct year-end numbers.
Maybe a palatable motion would be to receive and file it. Is that you're acknowledging it?
We can certainly make a motion to receive and file it. I'm keeping it on top of my desk, though.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make the motion to receive and file.
Is there a second?
21.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Joan, you want to run by the 22-23 budget?
Yeah, so based on the county's number for capture for the TIF and the calculations, and this was confirmed by the county treasurer that I got these calculations correct. So the total TIF capture for the upcoming year is going to be $176,550.94. Added onto that is the millage. There's a 2 mills that is levied on properties within the entire DDA. And that number is going to add $28,384.55, which brings us to a total tax revenue for the DDA of $204,935.49. The budget that was given to council to approve has a budget of I didn't add this up. 150,136 for TIF and 28,000 for the 2 mil levy. So it is 178,000 as opposed to the 204 actual numbers. So that is a bump in our budget. There are still a couple things here that need to be clarified, but the finance director said it won't go to council for approval until an amended budget until September anyway, so there is time to clear up a couple little things, local community stable share, and there is a question I have on interest income. If we do have a surplus, then there should be some interest income. So those two are small and can be figured out before it goes to council in September, and we'll have a chance to look at it then.
We can look at it
when
again in
it's-
August.
Yes, when it's complete, well, when it's done. I can't put a date to that because it's not something I'll be preparing. So at least, like I say, going forward, we know now what our number is, what our revenue will be. So we can look now at a proposed budget for 22-23. We didn't do that before because we knew the revenue numbers were wrong.
Where are we getting the proposed budget for next year?
Well, we're getting the revenue numbers from the county, and we've all agreed that those numbers they
From the
sent us
county.
are correct, yes. So we know that. So now we can look at our other revenue and expenses and actually put together a comprehensive budget that we can give to the finance director that can then go to council.
So, if I may interject?
Pardon?
If I may interject?
You may.
With your permission and advocacy, I would like to, if there's, yourself would like to be involved with this, getting the actual budget over the goal line in full understanding so that it's socialized and better understood, I would ask if you would be interested in participating in that.
Well, there's nothing I enjoy more than another meeting,
Well,
so that would be lovely. But yeah, because it's been an embarrassment to this board to have been unable to know what we're allowed to spend, not knowing, none of it. So we made the decision early on that we would just be as conservative and do the things that we always seem to have enough money for traditionally, and it's worked out well.
Yeah, we basically knew what we had, and we're being told we didn't. Totally frustrating.
So
I have a question. Do we know why 21, 22 was so much lower in income tax revenue than the prior year and this coming year?
Now that I took the spreadsheet and the one that I gave you that's called proposed budget with the last column,
Yes.
when I put 2021, 21, 22, and then the proposed 22, 23 side by side, that discrepancy in property tax revenue for 2021 is not in line, it appears, because the year
you went back
prior to
further
that,
than
it was about 20,000 less, then it like took this jump in 2021, and then it comes back down to actual in 21, 22. So I'm suspicious of that also, and we're probably going to have to ask for settlement sheets from the county to double-check that.
Okay, so
Where
the
did those
anomaly was
numbers-
really the year prior, and this year we've had so much development and increase in taxable
Right.
value that we would expect the increase.
Right.
Okay.
Where did those numbers come from?
They were given to us by the finance director last year.
anything else, Bill?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So on the proposed 2022-23 budget, which is the last column on that sheet I gave out, if you can read that really tiny print, we've got the current property tax as the top number. We have the property tax 2 mil levy. We have those two questions on that might bring in a little more income on the stable share and the interest income, but primarily the bulk of it is going to be those two top numbers. We also have other income, the event sponsorship I put in is 10,000, and I think for the upcoming year, it's kind of a guesstimate. It actually, that 10,000 is balanced out by the operating supplies by promotion. So because our promotions are all cash, even, so the one just balances out the other. If we make more revenue than we charge or have costs for promotion, it just puts a little bit more to our revenue side. So, but Charlie, knowing what we're taking in this year, do you think that's a conservative number, or should we?
I think that's in line. I think it's a little conservative, but I think it's in line with what we're going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave that as the 10. In other grants, going down the page, there's the 7,500 there, and that is the, from Oakland County, that's the In Your Town training and the tech support, the technical support grant. So those are lumped together, and they also appear, they're a wash because the 7,500 shows on the expense side also as grant appropriation, so. So then looking at operating supply, we've got part-time salaries and wages are the same. We go down to operating supplies, we've got, these are the numbers that can be changed a bit because there's still a surplus of 38,000 at the bottom. Do we want to hold that and see if there is
Yeah.
other bigger projects out there that now we want to tackle? But under design, we've got $8,000 allocated on this budget proposed. 10,000 for the promotion, which again comes from that sponsorship money. Organization is 2,500, and that is the things, the website costs, the hosting, the membership ware, which hosts our business directory, and those things are included in that organizational number. Some of that falls over into administration also. So audit fees, those are up this year to 1,500. They used to be up last year, actually, to 1,500. They were 1,000 before. Professional services, that is the.
Why did the audit fees jump so much, and who does the audit?
There's a separate audit firm that does the audit,
Okay.
and it's a new firm this year, so the cost went up.
Their fees are higher?
Yeah.
A third,
Who's,
50% higher.
what's the name of this audit company?
I don't
Do we
know the
Yo
audit
and Yo,
firm.
it's the same as the
Yo and
cities.
Yo,
Yell and Yell.
Yo, Y-O-E.
Yo and Yo.
Y-E-O, Y-E-O.
Yeah, Y-O-E, yeah.
It's off to work we go. Wow.
It had been, in a previous amended budget, it had been a lot higher, but that was brought down because it was, I brought up that that's an allocated cost. The city's paying X amount of dollars, and so much can be allocated to the DDA, and it jumped up to $3,000 in one budget. It's back down to a more reasonable
Wow.
1,500. It was allocated rather highly at first. Membership and dues, we have Main Street membership, we have Michigan Downtown Association. The grant appropriation, economic restructuring, that is the grants, the business grants that we do, the facade grants. We can put more money to that. It's at $10,000 now. We've always had it at 10, and except in those lean years where we had to drop down to 5 and 75. We can also leave it at that. If there are more grants than applied for, then we've got funding. We've got the surplus that we could do an amendment and put money to that to see that we've got improved buildings. And then the rest of the costs are to the bond. So are there any questions, any changes anybody thinks we should make a difference in?
What's the reason we changed the audit company?
That was up to the city.
I think after a certain amount of time, you have to change auditing firms. I think that was the nexus for it.
You had to change?
I believe that's a state law. You can't stick with the auditing firm for
So you got to
many
go
years.
to a more expensive audit firm?
I think it went out for bid, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Joan, what's our debt at the moment?
I don't have the total debt in front of me. I just have the
Roughly?
payments still. I'll find that out, what the total is.
Well, I would suggest we let that surplus deficit just sit there for now.
Yeah, I would second
For the
that
moment.
emotion. Yeah.
Everyone agree? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll decide if we want to pay down the debt or if we have something to use it for or whatever, as soon as we're totally comfortable with our budget and feel caught up on this again, because I think we're running so far behind on it that it's hard to make a decision about what to do with it.
Right, and this again isn't going to be given to council until September, so
Okay.
there's time for us to look at it and get those other two questions answered anyway, so, but this I thought was a good start, a good framework.
Thanks, Joan. Your head must
So
be
if you're
spinning.
in agreement that this is, good enough for going forward, no big changes, then we'll go with that, and I'll bring it back to you when we get those other questions answered. So if you want to accept this proposed budget for now, that would be
Then we will accept it for now
good.
with the amendments to follow as soon as possible.
And if
And I want to
possible-
thank you again, Joan, for all that extra work you've done. It's stellar. Thank you,
It's been a lesson.
Thank you.
for all of us.
Okay.
I think maybe we could put a note on our next meeting to follow up on that debt conversation, because I think that's a good suggestion, that we look at where the debt's at and if it'd be beneficial to pay some of that down.
All right. Anyone have anything else? Joe, thank you very much for your help.
If I
Did you have
could,
something?
yes, ma'am. Just to recap, for August, this meeting, your actual regular meeting, you're covering the April through July financial reports, and then we have the understanding that we'll work together to come to an actual full understanding of expectations for the budget, working with you, Joan and Kelly, and then that will be, you will have we'll have visibility of that in advance of it going to council, and then it will come to you after council's amendment, which will likely be in September. So it could be September or October that you would see that budget amendment, just for absolute clarity. So depending on which meeting it gets to council in September.
Okay. But I do want to stress that what we're looking for is exact figures, not a consensus,
understand.
not an agreement, not a, oh, that looks pretty good, or I think
Understand.
this might have happened 2 years ago. We want the numbers to be exact and correct. And if there
ma'am.
was a flaw from last summer,
Yes,
it
ma'am.
needs to be adjusted appropriately, but it needs to be dealt with. So I'm happy that we're finally seeming to make some progress on this and hope that we can continue to enjoy this support. And we've learned a lot about how to back it up.
Yes, ma'am. And I appreciate everyone's time, advocacy, investment in Clausen, and your time as volunteers.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I just want to add again that if you didn't already know, I think we all take our job up here very seriously. We're dealing with tax dollars. We're dealing with TIF. And we want everything to be right. We want to know when it's not right or when there's a glitch. I think communication would help immensely, apparently. And if we could be in on that, and sounds like perhaps we are going to be in on that, I hope it continues. The taxes are very important, and we take that very serious.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
sure do.
We do. We all do.
Those checks got bigger this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, has anyone else said anything?
Did we need to
Visitors?
approve the 22-23? Did we need a motion to actually approve that in this meeting, or that is also a receive and file?
Joan, do you want
Since
to?
we know it's going to be, if you want to approve, I think I just wanted to know that you're approving this direction. So I think a motion saying that you approve it and with the understanding that there will be a couple amendments.
I think we might wait till the next meeting to approve it, Valerie, just because I want to stick with our precedent of not approving stuff that is in the process of being
Okay.
messed around with. So if we have another month
Right.
or a couple of weeks to try to get it really tight,
Well-
make those final changes, and then approve it, I would think that that's a better protocol.
I think Joe just said it could be September or October. So as long as
All the
we
more
know what
reason
our
to wait.
revenue, as long as, I think we can operate on this proposed budget that we have.
We
know
can
the
operate just the
revenues.
way we have been, which is we pretty much know what to spend, and
Right.
we stay within that, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I just as soon have a
Right.
firm budget before we approve it, after the events of this last few months.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think we can go ahead and operate on this proposed budget because we know that the tax collection numbers are correct. We can keep our own sheet and know exactly, our own spreadsheet and know exactly where we are. And that is maybe something we should do.
That's going to be another thing on your plate? Sounds like it.
Need to talk about getting Joan a bigger plate. Let's put that on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone, anything else to add? There's no deleting here, just going forward. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Well, there was a question, and I put brownfield on the agenda just because there've been so many questions about it. And
That's not even in the DDA.
well,
Is it not?
there is a brownfield in the DDA,
But
which
that's
is
not the one in question, is it?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying there is a brownfield in the GDA, and there is also a brownfield at 14 and Rochester, which is the 7-Eleven. So the brownfield actually does not come out of the DDA TIF at all. It does
Right.
not affect us. It is an agreement with the state, and it comes out of a different tax collection line item. It's state operating costs and state school operating, I think. So it does not come from any TIF revenue that we capture. So it does not affect the DDA at all. So going forward, we do not even need to worry, does that fit in our budget? Was it taken out? It's not included. So that question can be put to rest for any, because we were wondering about it, does this affect our budget? And going forward, no, it does not. So,
And that being said, it should have never affected the budget. Something out of the DDA.
Again, that's going back to that's going back to 21, 22, whatever happened there is straightened out, and we got correct revenue numbers now. We have correct revenue numbers going forward for 22, 23, so
According to the
we're
Oakland
good.
County.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anything else, Joan? Thank you all for making time in your morning for this. We appreciate it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I would make that.
David, second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of adjournment at 8:38?
All right.
Hi.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.